Welcome back to Stocklabs for another market recap. It's Super Bowl Sunday already. Second week of February is done. Just finished up on Friday, February 11th. Got Valentine's Day on Monday, so a lot of stuff going on. Pretty choppy week. Um, from the last recap, we were sort of expecting the market to struggle a little bit this week, not necessarily do terrible, but not make much progress, just only due to the fact that the terror cap stocks, like the $1 trillion companies, were just really trading haphazardly, which makes it hard on the indices. As far as what our indices actually did for the week, it was okay, less than stellar. So actually, the small caps outperformed by a pretty wide margin, up 1.5% on the week. Is pretty. I mean, it's a pretty good week for them. I mean, they've been obviously struggling a lot in the last few months, but to see them sort of do okay in a week where a lot of the major indices were getting hit is I'd say it's a bit of a deviation from prior behavior. So then we had the Dow down 7/10, kind of whatever. S&P down 1.8 and Nasdaq down 3%. And there were a lot of gyrations through the week. I think we started the week flattish to down, and then ramped midweek, and then toward the back end of the week, gave it all up from Thursday morning down to Friday afternoon. It was really wild. You had a big sell off Thursday, then started to recover on Friday. Got a terrible consumer confidence number from UMich, and CPI data came in crazy, 7.5%. And then lastly, we got sort of tape bombed Friday afternoon with a potential Russian war activity in Ukraine, and it just ended up being too much for the market to handle, by the end of the week for leading into the weekend. So I think it just we sort of just gave up. The bulls sort of gave up, and it ended down a decent amount as far as Nasdaq and S&P. So the terror, what I was talking about from last week with the sort of the trillion dollar companies. Yeah, so they were all down by pretty significant margins. These stocks look like they're sort of, they're underperforming the market steadily now. So this is more than just a blip at this point. This is sort of developing into a bit of a trend that you probably have to keep an eye on now for at least the next few months. So Facebook has not, since their earnings blow up, they have not bounced at all, really, or they give up every bounce. Down another 7% this week. Tesla continues to slide another 6%. Google, sort of a rare down 6% week. I think this has now given up all of the post-earnings bump. 2680. Yeah, that has to be below where it was when they announced. I mean, they announced great quarter and great numbers and all that stuff, but the price action has just been pretty abysmal since. The rest, okay, Amazon is also giving up. I mean, it hasn't given up all of it, I don't think, but it's giving up its earnings pop as well. So you don't really like to see when stocks pop big on earnings and then over the next few days just lay down and give it all back, because it's sort of it's pretty disheartening for investors, and then has the potential to carry forward for a longer stretch. Um, so yeah, big weakness in these, almost down 4% collectively. Compared to the market, Nasdaq was down 3%, S&P was down less than 2%, 1.8%, something like that. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on how these stocks trade. Nvidia held up okay, by the end of the week, although Friday was particularly bad, down almost 7%, 6.5% basically. Semiconductors got hit hard. Okay, and as for how the just general universe of stocks looked like performance wise, just go to our screener here. Okay, 1 to 5 billion, up 2.4%. Solid week by any measure. 5 to 10 billion, up 1.9%. So, it's good. It's good stuff. Pretty good breadth. 10 to 50 billion, large caps, up 1%. So you can see, like, even large companies are still performing. It's just those. Okay, now these ones are flat. So this was mega caps, so 50 to 100 billion cap range, which is still beating the market. And Terra caps over 100 billion, down 6/10. So these are obviously being dragged by the supersized companies that we sort of just looked at as a small cohort. But yeah, overall, so you're looking at anything below 50 billion cap, more likely than not, it had a solid week. This is quite different from what we've been seeing over the last, I'm going to say over the last, probably since last November. You really only wanted to be in the 50 billion and up market cap range as far as allocations, just because they were behaving the best. And now this is sort of the first week where there's a pronounced difference between those cohorts, as far as the smaller stuff actually outperformed big, and not just outperformed like it was down less. It was actually up. They posted solid gains in a week that the larger stuff was really was struggling, on the downside. So it's not something you see very often, and it's probably something to make a bit of a note of. As far as on an industry basis, you can see most industries were up on the week on a median basis. So the breadth overall for the market, despite the larger indices being down, under the surface, things were not as bad as sort of those headline performance metrics. Okay, so what were the best performers as far as subsectors? Yes. Okay, so obviously basic materials were up. They've been a huge momentum trade for a long time now, and they're sort of also being catapulted with the news. The news items every time that someone sneezes in Russia now is like you have to bid oil, you have to bid gold and silver and all this stuff like that. So that it has that tailwind as well. let's see the rest. So even okay, so airline things. I mean, these are all sort of like obviously um, a lot of the tech stuff isn't showing up here because it was getting dragged with the Nasdaq. But yeah, okay. I saw some crazy stat on wrecked vehicles the other day. I forget. I have to look it up exactly again. But oh, it was something like I think Thor Industries has like something like $1 billion backlog of RV orders to fulfill. That I don't know. I mean, people just want to live on the road, I guess now. Um, okay, copper shipping, foods. Okay, foods have a lot of inflation sensitivity. Long-term care facilities is kind of weird. Okay, but anyway, you can see we have quite a number, more than we've had recently, of sectors up 5%. So almost 20 sectors, 19 sectors. I mean, that's better. That's a better swath of the market than we've seen in a while. And on the downside, the magnitude of the losses was basically pretty limited. Even nothing was even down 5% on a subsector basis. So we only even had. I mean, these are all basically flat. So let's see. So 25, 50. Yeah, I mean, these sectors are barely down. There's what, 160 something sectors that are down, but none of them are down even 5%. So the breadth overall for the universe of stocks was good. Um, you really can't complain about it. Even healthcare was up, which is seemingly constantly being beaten to a pulp. Um, it had an okay week. Services up 1.7%. Tech was even still up 0.5%. Despite the TerraCap stocks and basic materials, like we said, was the far outperformer. Financials getting hit was a little surprising. Not quite sure what happened there because I do see. Um, Actually, I don't. I thought. Sorry, regional airlines. I thought this was regional banks the first time I glanced at it. Um, okay, so pretty good overall for breadth, and now we'll just go into intelligence to see what the sort of outlook is for this coming week. Yeah, so top rated ETFs for this week, Soxel and USD, so semiconductors should bounce here. Okay, so biotech seemingly will not be continuing its strength. And then we have mid caps, Russell, and okay, rare earths, whatever. So this should be pretty good overall for the market. If you have semiconductors running hard, and you have, the mid caps and small caps coming along, um, it's probably going to be a pretty solid week for the market. And then given that the larger, the larger tech stuff is, it got crushed this week, even if they come back just a little bit, you're looking at a big move. You're looking at big moves in the overall indices. So let me just flip this real quick to okay, what should be down this week? Whatever this is, robotics ETF should be down. Okay, S&P 500 ETF should be down. Vol should be down. Mexico, I'm going to ignore. Weed, I'm going to ignore. Okay, inverse big oil should be down. Okay, so oil will continue to go up. Drip is supposed to be down, so oil will be up. Ultra cloud computing is supposed to be down. Okay, so maybe tech's in a little more trouble than what we thought originally here. And okay, Russia's supposed to be down. I mean, something to keep an eye on with their news. Um, okay, so it looks like from the bullish side, we have semiconductors supposed to be up, with also mid caps and small caps supposed to be up as well. And then on the downside, it was kind of there was a lot of stuff in there, um, including the bullish ETFs. Including the bullish ETFs on the downside. So it uh, could be somewhat choppy, but overall, I think that the market is. I mean, it took a lot of licks. Took a lot of licks this past week, and although closed the at the weekly lows basically for S&P and Nasdaq, I think what's going to happen is it's going to rebound pretty quickly um, early this coming week. And I only think that because we looked at all the breadth stuff in here, so there are people that are allocating money. I think it was just sort of, I don't know, you get these exogenous events that sort of spark sell-offs, and for it to happen right on top of a weekend, I tend to like discount it a little more because people's behavior becomes a little more crazy. They don't want to. They get extra scared because they're not going to be able to do anything in their account for 2 days. But um, yeah, so I would expect Monday to be sort of. I would expect the week to be strong, and I would expect Monday even to be a solid up day. Um, we do have, I think it's option expiration this week, or this coming week. So that is one thing to consider. Um, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'd be surprised if the sell off advanced, basically advanced any more than it did on Friday. When by the time we're done this week. So if it does, then we'll just have to reassess what's going on. But I think that just the amount that the market washed out a little bit, and then even the undertones this past week were pretty good. So um, I would expect a new round. I would expect a round of buying to start before another round of selling started. That's all. Okay, so thanks everyone for sticking around. Hope everyone has a good Super Bowl, and also a happy Valentine's Day. There's going to be free trial links in the description of this video. So you can, if you're not a subscriber, you can come check it out. The Fly crushed it this past week. He's crushing it year to date so far. Come check it out. See what's going on. Talk to you guys later. Have a happy weekend.